So Preston, did you actually watch the Super Bowl?
No.
Did you watch the commercials?
I watched some of the commercials.
Cool. So I watched one.
Yeah?
I watched the halftime. Then I watched this video. You have to see it. We'll probably throw it up on the screen because they said I had to watch it. I don't know why I had to watch it. Can you tell me why I had to watch it?
Because Meta tried its best. I don't know if it was tone deaf, but I don't know that it did what it was trying to accomplish. That hit a lot of people the wrong way with a, oh boy, it's a whole new world. Let's do a Five Nights at Freddy's vibe.
Well, and okay, to be fair though, most Americans are not really aware of Five Nights at Freddy. The average consumer is going to be thinking of Chuck E. Cheese's, which we, for the most part, can't go to. And then it showed businesses dying.
Yeah.
Right, and that was really, to me, a tone-deaf part of a Super Bowl ad, right? Because this is supposed to be like, things are getting better. And so I think that's where we're going to continue to see Facebook/Meta continue to make some missteps.
Speaking of, a lot of what we're going to talk about today is the big Meta missteps. What started as, okay, here's some turbulence, has resulted in just problem after problem after problem after problem. Originally, we were just going to talk about Diem and that sales acquisition, how Facebook sold its crypto project to a bank, Silvergate Bank, which it knows a lot of people at, so there was some questionable stuff there.
It's like selling a car to your friend.
Exactly. Except then after that, Facebook stock drops, skyrockets, just downward. Somebody jumped out of the plane. 20% drop, billions of dollars lost, which is actually harmful to Facebook. After that, there was European pushback. Ireland that is trying to sue Facebook, which, depending on how that lawsuit goes, could force Facebook to be GDPR compliant fully with no American exception, which would mean that the rules for its data processing radically change, which is something Facebook does not want at all. And then, most recently, this happened, I believe, yesterday, Texas has sued Facebook for its use of facial recognition data collection. Like, it just doesn't stop. So there was another statement today. Germany and France said, maybe we don't need Facebook. They just keep taking hit after hit.
Well, and in some ways, it's unfair to say that these are missteps. The Diem project was a large project that could have enabled cryptocurrency, blockchain tech to flourish within an accepted ecosystem. They had incredible amounts of partners available, waiting, and then it just kind of all crumbled, right? And even with this idea of GDPR compliance, and feel free to check out our other video about GDPR. I'm going to point up here, and maybe there's a thing that will pop up. That's not a misstep necessarily. It's something that is regulatory. It's new since Facebook was created. And if you're unfamiliar in this web space, GDPR is exceedingly expensive to build out. It is not the easiest thing to make sure that it is fully 100% GDPR compliant. There's ways to help, there's ways and things to do it, but then the moment you get a request to essentially right to be forgotten, go in and fully delete out of all your other backups, all your other systems, side databases, etc., it gets a little bit hairy. And so it's hard to say these are full missteps, but they are taking a beating.
It's interesting the reaction to a lot of what Meta has been. It's kind of a meme. It's this idea where, okay, let's just abandon sucky real life and go into mediocre VR. And it's kind of largely been made fun of rather than by the consumer market at large taken seriously. And because it's still so far in development, people that have been like, I'm going to go explore, let's see, have been disappointed. And again, it all goes back to, let's make fun of their new venture. It just feels like the launch, the step away from their base platform, and this idea of, oh, we're a new company now that's ownership is just, it does not look good.
Right, and that being said, Instagram is doing good, Like they had some issues with the Instagram Kids, which we also covered. Check out a link if there's one that pops up over here. We've talked about that heavily, but they've implemented most of those features into Instagram. Instagram shares and everything have been fine. The user base has increased and been fine. The world of Facebook is the one that is struggling.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to share a quick experience, and this kind of goes into, what should you be doing, right? As a marketer or someone who's into social media, what should we be looking out for? I don't think Facebook is going to die.
No.
I spent a weekend traveling a little bit. I went snowboarding, and I watched a kid next to me within an hour pull up Facebook 8 times. And he did not scroll his timeline. He went to the marketplace and Facebook groups every single time. And so even though advertisers have pulled out of Facebook, I do think that the Facebook groups and the Facebook marketplace and those types of functions are going to continue to push for engagement. People are always surprised when I pull up Facebook statistics for Gen Z specifically of like, oh yeah, Gen Z spends about an hour and a half a day on Facebook. They go, no, we don't. I totally saw a kid do it, right? And that's one data point, but as we look at bigger data sets, people do spend a significant amount of time, whether they want to admit it or not.
Another thing that's worth talking about on the regarding to advertising and use case is that like a lot of these sub features Facebook was pushing for years and then reeled back on is where people went. Messenger is huge. Messenger is kind of this essential platform where in a lot of ways it replaces your phone. You get video, you get essentially a text app all for free. Like, it is fantastic. You can survive now without a phone plan, even if you have a phone device, if you just are all into the Facebook suite. From an advertising perspective, Facebook has a hilarious antagonist in the form of Apple.
Yep.
They've really been trying to stick it to Facebook and be like, you have too much data on people to the point where you probably can't even get rid of it if they ask. It's almost impossible. That would be a feat.
And an expensive feat at that. And that's a hard part, right? Because Facebook is a business. They're trying to generate revenue just like any other business like us is doing. The only hard part is increased government regulation is making it harder and harder for them to operate, and they are now effectively losing money if they have to go and implement all these features, especially GDPR or the right to be forgotten and deleted from the platform. So that there is a lot of things there. Now, one thing for Pullman marketing, when we look at the markets and how to evaluate, we really look at functionality. That's a big key for us. So when we look at how we're advertising, when we look at how someone is using a platform, we are going after their search intent, how they're using it, and the functions that they are desiring. So once again, Facebook Marketplace, they are going there with the intention of buying or researching for something. When they're going into a group, they're researching or engaging in a relational sense that has removed Craigslist. Craigslist is a bygone era. There are kids who, I say kids, 27 and under, that will only go to a restaurant based on their Instagram profile. They're not looking at Google My Business. They're not looking at the Google Map systems or Yelp reviews. They're just looking purely at Instagram pictures. So there is a high amount of function that needs to be considered as we market into these platforms.
So what does that mean? I'll probably close on this. Be careful of your data. There's a lot of, if you give your data, you're probably not going to get it back. The other, as you are considering advertising and looking at utilizing these platforms for business, it's still there. It's not a platform worth abandoning. There are a lot of people leaving. On the other hand, that also makes the market share available for advertising better. The people that are left, the people who are engaging are there. It would be a good idea to investigate and reevaluate what current strategy is, to be investing more in things that engage with Marketplace, with groups, with Messenger, and of course, looking at Instagram if you've not engaged there, as it still ends up being one of the stronger platforms that exists right now.
That's all we've got for today. Thank you so much for watching our videos. Feel free to subscribe, hit the bell, check us out on our Instagram. We like Instagram. Tickety Talk, we have that too, and some Twitter where we tweets, I guess. I think that's a cool thing to do, right?
Yeah. And this has been your weekly social.
Bye.
Bye. So you think they're going to make another commercial?
Absolutely.